Hello, hello. Make sure this volume is up. All right. All right. I'm going to give it a little bit. Wait for some other folks to join. Thank you for tuning in. I'm doing well. Can't complain. It's Friday. It's a beautiful day. We have we have two really great guests today, so I'm excited about that. All right. So it's 5:58 now. Gonna give it a couple minutes, so some more folks can join in, and our guests can join in. All right. So let's see. Hello. All right. Let's see what's going on here. All right. Lazy on a little bit. All right. I'm excited for today. All right. Hey, Shantae. Thank you for tuning in. Miss you. We need to catch up really soon. Outside is opening up a little bit. So as long as we're careful. Oh, thank you, Mama. As long as we're careful. Ask your father. As long as we're careful, we can meet up and have some drinks outdoors because the weather's beautiful. Okay. Children, right? Children. Okay. So, thank you everyone for joining. I wanted to shift the conversation a little bit and have some fun today and have some more lighthearted conversation per se, because it may get a little deep and heavy. So our first guest today is Michelle Hope, and she is a sex expert, and I've been watching a few of her interviews, and she is dropping gems and really valuable information when it comes to our sex lives, sex as a couple, sex as being single, healthy sexual relationships, and how to have those conversations. So I wanted to bring her on and talk about these things. There's a lot of questions that I have for her, so I'm super excited. And then we're gonna finish it off tonight with our goddess, Dos of Diosa. She will be talking to us about spirituality and how to connect with our inner selves during this time, and also some herbal remedies and some really great stuff. So I'm really excited about today. And I can't wait to get started. And thank you so much again, guys, for tuning in. Last week was so super intense, but we had some great conversations. And thank you so much for all the guests that have been on. Definitely I'm shifting gears, and because the weather's getting nice and some of the rules have been lifted and now we can be outside and things like that, careful of course, I'm gonna switch it up and I'm gonna move our IG lives to Mondays, so it'll be motivational Mondays. I'm still gonna continue to bring in some great guests, but I will be taking the week off next week, and then we'll be getting back on the 22nd. So that's gonna be awesome. I want to make sure that all you guys catch. Hi, Michelle. I think if you send a request, I can let you in. So I'm so excited. There you go. All right, awesome. I'm excited to continue to have really great guests on, and yeah, so it's gonna be great. So tonight is the last Friday for our Fearless Fridays IG Live series, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Hey, sister, I'm about to let Michelle in. So give me one sec. All right, so Michelle should be popping in any moment. And let me turn it off. So,
Hi.
hi. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. Thank you.
Oh my God, I love your bow on your head. I love
Girl,
it.
you know what it really is? It's my mask.
Oh, I
You know
love
what I'm
it.
saying?
Yes, I love it. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Yes, we didn't get a chance to speak, but I hope after this, we can schedule some time and definitely get acquainted and get to know each other.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so I've been watching some of your interviews, and I've been, interested in, in your expertise and everything you've been talking about. So I definitely wanted to have you on. I think it's a good time to talk about how people have been dealing with, their sexuality during quarantine and things like that. So I can't wait to get started. Yes, let me wave at some of these people here. Thank you, everybody, for
Wave, wave,
joining.
wave.
Yes. All right. So before we get started on the intense conversations, I want you to let everyone know a little bit about who you are, your background, and things like that.
So, I am a sexologist by trade. So, that means that I study human sexual behavior. And while, yes, I love to talk about sex, I love to talk about vaginas and penises and great
Yes.
orgasms. My deepest passion really lies in reproductive justice, which is everyone having the bodily autonomy to make decisions, have the information, the access to health care, to make decisions about their bodies, when to have children, when not to have children, how to bring those children into the world, and as well, how to parent those children in a safe and sustainable environment. So I do a lot of activism work. And while, yes, again, I do totally love sex because, that's what it is. That's what we
Right.
do. I want to help people understand that it's so much bigger than just the
Right.
genital act, right?
Yes.
So that's kind
Absolutely.
of me.
Okay. So I know I was watching some of the interviews. I don't know if you're comfortable in sharing right now on our live, but I know that there have been some instances that have happened in your life that have led you down this journey.
Oh,
So if you
yeah.
want to share a little bit about that.
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, I think it's important to understand that, like, I have a background in which I've experienced sexual assault. I've experienced domestic violence. I've experienced, girl, I was a dancer for a long time for like 7 years, which it was, my body was right and tight back then. And, sex work is sex, whether you're a dancer, a go-go person. And, I always been fascinated. My mother is a lesbian, so I've started marching like before I could ride a two-wheeler. So really fighting for equity for all people. And sometimes people don't really connect where sex, like the intersection between sexuality and race. Growing
Mhm.
up in Indiana, growing up in a trailer park. Today is Loving Day. So happy Loving's Day when we
Oh, happy
celebrate.
Loving Day. Yeah.
Yeah. And like being biracial,
Hmm.
that this is an important day for me because it really impacts who I am. It makes me who I am. It makes me passionate. Um, and I don't know how to talk about sexual assault. Nobody really wants to hear that on a Friday night. You can go
Hmm.
check out my TED Talk, TEDx Harlem. Um, but I do try to encourage people, or at least for me, I took my experience of sexual assault and it was awful. And I don't identify as a survivor. I identify as a rape thriver
Yes, I
because
love
I
that.
took, I mean, you have to, language is so important,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And oftentimes, like, titles like special victims unit, like, I
Hmm.
don't want to be seen as a victim. I'm a person, I'm a human, I'm so much more than an experience. I don't let the kind of misfortune or because that wasn't me, it wasn't my fault. That's their
Hmm.
problem. Do you know
Right.
what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I don't want to be victimized.
Mhm.
I'm not just a survivor. I'm a thriver. And I'm
Right.
thriving and I'm using those experiences and I gain strength in helping other people. Like I've done a lot of lectures and what's really made me the happiest is when people are like, you calling yourself a rape thriver makes me believe that I too can get over this hump because I too was sexually assaulted. I can get over
Right.
this hump and now you've given me new words to use. And
Right.
that is the best for me.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I'll share a little bit, as well. So I'm a domestic violence survivor, but
Mm-hmm.
now, as I was watching your interview, I did hear you say that you're a thriver, and I love that because it does take away the victimization out of the situation, and it makes you feel, so empowered because you were able to get out of that situation, and now use that as a vehicle for communication and sharing resources and sharing support and empowerment to others. So I really love that. I really
And,
love that.
and you know what else really is helpful? Like when I started working in the space of reproductive justice, right? I became more empowered. And my experience with intimate partner terrorism, as we call it now, we don't call it violence anymore. We call it terrorism because sometimes
Oh
it's
wow.
not physical violence.
Right.
It's sometimes it's stalking. And that's not
Right.
anybody. It's sometimes it's internet porn. So when I started talking to other women and other people who've experienced assault and
Mhm.
started advocating for them, it just totally made me feel so much stronger and so
Right.
much bigger. And I know that's not for everyone, but that's what's worked for me. So I always tell people like write about it,
Hmm.
like create your own kind of like anonymous blog because somebody somewhere is going to
Yeah.
hear your story. They're going to read it and they're going to be like, oh man, you really made me feel like I can do better or I have so much more to offer
Hmm.
or this is just a moment in time and it will not define me.
Right. Absolutely. That is so true. I mean, I encourage everyone who has been through any type of traumatic situation in their life, if they feel comfortable to share their story, because it,
Yeah.
it is going to help someone else who still hasn't found that voice and
Yep.
that strength to be able to share. Absolutely. So thank you for sharing that with us. I really appreciate it.
No
Yes.
problem.
Yes. So I want to go into quarantine COVID talk
Ooh,
as it
girl,
relates
let's talk.
to sex.
Yes.
Yes. So I know there's been like, some sexual tension between couples quarantined together during this time. There's also been single people who have been trying to figure out if they should be dating during this time. Is it safe? Should we be going out on dates?
Oh,
Right. So let's
right.
go in.
Right.
Yes. So let's go into the relationships a little bit. The ones that are suffering right now and lacking sexuality in the bedroom because they're just annoyed with each other during this quarantine time.
Yeah, one of the recommendations I've made, because I've gotten a child, I've gotten a lot of calls on this. I've had a lot of
Right.
people like hit me up and be like, what should we be doing? So the first thing is understand that stress and like stress in your life can impact your libido and it can impact your partner's libido. So if you've lost your job because of COVID or your income has shrunk because of COVID, your libido might not be as high as it usually is, and that is totally normal. Secondarily, you are getting on each other's flippin' nerves because you are
Yes.
not used to having to be around somebody so often, all the time, having to like see the person every day. So, what you have to remember is you have to design time to give yourself space. And now we're out of bad weather. So, like right now, I'm in the park, right? Like, get out, get on
Yeah.
your bike. And like I said, this is actually my face covering. So when I
Right.
get away from this very open space, I'll put that on. But
Yes.
go on a walk, right? And so if you're in this thing, you have to be open to recognizing people need time apart. Another piece of advice I was giving to people, create dates. And again, the weather is nice. I'm sitting in the middle of Bryant Park. organize and create a picnic date with your partner and set it up in a way that you can be like, okay, Friday night, I'm taking you out. And then when your partner does that, please shave your armpits. Wax the put like if you can't
Yes,
go to your waxer and wax your pussy, just go on ahead and get that no shave nair or the
exactly.
no whatever. Nair that pussy, nair them legs, do what you gotta do, and then put on a nice outfit, do your hair, do your makeup, and like put some effort into it. We've
Yeah.
all been stuck in the house. Great, sure, you've put on a couple pounds. We all have. And then I say to like your partners, I mean, whether it's shave your beard, shave your punani, shave your booty hole, I don't care. Like, act like you're going on a date for the first time and do that. Um, if you're having problems with sex, like if you're not like, ooh, I'm extra horny, I want to. Another great way to test the boundaries. You ready for this trick?
Go ahead.
Opt into celibacy.
Mm.
Choose to be celibate, and then when you do feel horny, only masturbate. So then
Okay.
you take your relationship all the way back to you're not touching each other at all, and you set the stage for not anticipating having sex, and then
Mm.
see how long you can go, right?
Okay.
Because what's going to happen is if you make this kind of commitment, and maybe now you're like, fuck you, I don't want sex from you anyway, then just
Right.
masturbate. Like, you have
Mm.
to kind of create these moments. And, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, sex is something I have to work at in a relationship. Yes.
Yes.
Like, it's not. Also, remember, nobody's going to poom poom that pussy the way they did the first 3, 6,
Right.
9, 12 months.
Exactly.
Because everything's new and exciting. So that's
Mm.
why I encourage like opting into celibacy,
Mm.
because it's almost like a clearing of it's like clears it out a little.
Right. That's a good idea, actually. That's not a bad idea at all. And it probably it's also going to cause at some point, right? Maybe like after a month or two, it'll cause them to want to be drawn to their partner again, right? Yeah,
Yep.
that's a great idea. I hope you guys are taking notes.
Yep.
So let's talk about singles during COVID.
I hope you done ordered all the vibrators, pocket pussies, whatever. Because masturbation is really important,
Yeah.
obviously. Now, I do want to say this. A lot of people have found alternative ways to connect. Like, there is Reddit groups that have sex parties, online Zoom sex parties you could explore.
Mm,
I've even heard of couples looking into exploring things they may not have explored
okay.
prior to COVID, but now they want to spice it up. Um, you know, there are also here in New York, it's like fuck your roommate. That's basic. Did you read those? Did you? It was like no booty sex, and if you want to have sex, safest sex is with yourself. Second safest is whoever you live with. It's
Oh
like
my goodness.
anyway. I think that you know, really recognizing as we emerge out of this COVID thing, I don't think people are going to be as careful as they're acting. I think they're probably going to step. I mean, people weren't using condoms.
Mm,
Like, look at the rates of STIs. No, but like, if we're not worried about chlamydia or gonorrhea,
we're
I'm a
not
bit,
worried about COVID.
I'm a bit hard pressed to believe. All
Oh
of a sudden,
Lord.
everybody's gonna be like, no, I don't wanna. As soon as they open up outside, people are gonna be like, let's get it on.
Hmm.
So just wear a condom, people.
Yes. Agree. I agree. I agree. So let's talk a little bit about um before we get to the juicy stuff. Um, there's also couples who have been quarantined in the house and who have their children there.
Yeah.
Especially like teenagers. So can you give us some tips to how to find that private time? Because these teenagers are up all hours of the night,
All
all
hours of the
day.
night. Well,
So
I think there's two parts here. If
okay.
you have teenagers, you should have already had the sex talk. And if you
Mm-hmm.
haven't, this is a great, they can't go nowhere.
Right.
They probably watching porn.
Mm.
So this is a great opportunity for you to address some like really important things and establish boundaries. Like,
Right.
yo, mind that we gonna need some time. And
Right.
here's why. Don't act like you're not watching porn. I mean, I don't know what your language is, but like talk to them about pornography.
Mm.
Explain to them that like when people care about each other, first of all, pornography is not what my partner and I don't want to speak too heteronormatively, but it would be like, you know, the sex you see on porn is not what mom and dad are having. However, we do enjoy sex. We know that you one day will enjoy sex. We understand why you watch porn, but we need to really help you understand that that is like a horror movie. It is not real. Consent is important.
Right.
And right now, mom and dad are asking for consent to get it on. So we need to establish some boundaries, and you need to not bother us or be in these parts of the apartment or the house or wherever you live during these times. There'll be a sock on the door. Remember when you went to college and your roommate was like, if there's a sock on the door, don't come in.
Right.
You can teach them early. If there's a sock on mom and dad's door, you need to watch your siblings because we need some adult time. So you
Right.
have this opportunity to really start helping them frame what healthy relationships are, what porn is and what it is not. You can have conversations about consent. Great time to start talking about condoms. You know you done bought 80,000 bananas because you're a
Mm-hmm.
food hoarder. Pull a
Right.
banana out, grab a condom, and take this time to teach them how to use a condom correctly. Don't forget to pinch the tip. Remind them that consent is not just a one-time thing. It's active. It has to keep going. And then teach them like they're adults. Let them
Right.
know like mom and dad are still, or mom and mom, or dad and dad, I don't know what it is. We're
Mm-hmm.
still sexual. Sex is a normal part of life. We want to help you understand that. We're trapped in the house together and we need some alone time. So you need to watch your siblings. Give us give us an hour. You know, give us 20 minutes. I don't know.
Exactly.
Um,
Yes.
so I think you have an opportunity there. And then after the kids go to bed, you know what? If you got teens, they never go to bed.
No.
But but if you talk to them like they're adults and you say, this is what it is,
Right.
then maybe they'll give you the space to like, oh, the sock's on the door. Don't go and bother mom right now. She's doing something. And it doesn't even matter if you're single or in a relationship.
Exactly.
It
That's
really should
true.
just be, this is my private time. Please don't come in. I need this space. I respect your private time. You know, and then the bathroom. Um, Also, if you do have a teenager that can be left in the house alone, right? It's warm out. Al fresca that sex.
Right.
And that also can add an element of naughtiness.
Yes.
Please don't get caught because that could not be great. But if it's, you know, it's
Yeah.
I think you get the gist.
Yes, yes. No, but I do like that. Like having the conversation, the real honest conversations with your children. I like that because it's true. I saw something that you were talking about that, like, why are we naming our body parts, you know, like baby names and things like that when we should just be calling it what it is because
Right.
these are real medical terms. So it is true. Yes, let's have those real honest conversations with our children because they need to understand. I agree 100%. Sometimes, you know, we don't create boundaries with our children, and I'm literally guilty of that. So I'm now trying to create that with them, like, okay, don't open my door without knocking on my door first.
And
So yeah.
and you know what's so funny? There's gonna come a time in their life where they're saying that to you.
Right.
So like really utilizing this time to teach them that, like, oh no, if the sock is on the door,
Mm-hmm.
don't come in. And yes, Miss Guac 3, I totally get it when you
Yes.
say you have a 12-year-old and a 6-year-old. But the 12-year-old's about to hit puberty. So they're probably getting ready. And right now, 12 is a great time to start talking to them. They're probably getting ready to enter into that space and say things like, you know, there's going to come a time very, very soon when you're going to want your private time. So right now, let's start to identify what private time looks like. So a 12-year-old can understand wanting privacy and also can help you out with the 6-year-old. So you have to just really work that to your advantage. They're trapped in the house. Work it to your advantage. Talk about all the uncomfortable conversations now. Opportunity to come closer and say, you know what? I know you don't like this conversation, son, daughter. I don't really like it either, but we are stuck in the house. So let's just pump out all these shitty talks and then we'll go about our life.
Exactly.
But I might bring it up again, right? Like I might bring it up again.
I love that. I love that. So I had done a survey with some friends, and they wanted a few questions to be answered. So I'm just going to run through them really quick.
Okay.
So they wanted to know, how long should we wait to date after a breakup and why?
You did email me these, and here's the deal. I'm not about to put no mother trucking Steve Harvey timelines on you. We're not doing that because you should date when it's right for you.
Mm-hmm.
But what I would encourage is after you go through a hard breakup, you know what they say is like, it takes half the time that you were in the relationship to get over the relationship. That might not necessarily be true. You might have stayed in that relationship far too long and had been over it, and you might feel free. I think that really when it comes to like when is the right time, it's whenever it feels right. But what I encourage is you date yourself for a little while.
Yes.
Before, they say you shouldn't sleep with somebody until after the third date. Well, if that's the case, you shouldn't masturbate with yourself till after the third date. But I like to, I get it in. So, but I want you to take yourself out on dates. And I mean really take yourself out on dates. Like go to the movies, take yourself to dinner, go to a happy hour. That doesn't mean while you're out you can't talk to somebody.
Right.
I just am encouraging you to be able to step out, not with your girlfriends.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to be very specific about this. You take yourself out. Maybe take yourself on a vacation, a little weekend getaway. I'm here in New York. Maybe I'd be like actually I'd done a bunch of protesting last week. So I took myself and I went to Sag Harbor for 3 days. So, it's just about, you need time to just be with you. Now, I got to be honest, that might not always be the best time because you might really struggle to sit in a room with yourself, by yourself. And if you are struggling to sit in a room with yourself, by yourself, then it's not time to get in a relationship. That would be my advice.
Right. Yeah, because it takes away the dependency of happiness when you're putting the dependency of your happiness on others. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
You have to remember the first relationship starts with self. And if that's off, all the rest of your relationships are going to be off. So when I'm saying like date yourself, it's really just about, could you be a month single, not dating anybody? That's 4 dates if you take yourself out once a week.
Right.
Maybe and if you cannot do that, maybe you should get into counseling. Maybe you should talk to a therapist.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. All right. So do you recommend asking the important questions in the beginning of when you're first dating someone, when you first meet them on the first date, or should you hold off a little bit?
Oh, well, this is what I say about first dates. First dates are an interview. Time is money, baby.
Yes. Yes.
You need
Especially
to interview.
when we're getting older. Yeah.
Honey, let me tell you something. I'm a whole hell of a lot closer to 40 than I will ever be to 30. Therefore, my time is important and my time is money. So when somebody wants to date me, I always give the advice to singles that come and ask. I'm like, dates should be interviews. And I'll be a good goddamned if you didn't run that mother trucker's background. I don't mean like a full-on background check, but everybody has so much content out online. We leave so many digital footprints. I think I think like the best thing to do is, let's say you're on a dating app and you have swiped right, you made a match, you've been talking to a person, and I see somebody saying something about, okay, it depends on your age and your clock. We finna get to that clock in a minute.
Right.
But you're dating somebody on a dating app. Please look them up. See if they have a LinkedIn. See if they have a Facebook. This can also help you with that first date. It's kind of like your way of getting their quote unquote social resume, because everybody leaves a social footprint. Then that could give you insights to what they're into, could give you kind of tips on what to talk about. I can't believe that's like one of my, that's a dating secret right there. I'm surprised I
Right.
gave that one up. But yeah, do your homework. Okay, so on the first date, no, you shouldn't be talking about kids. You're going to scare somebody away. No, you
Okay.
shouldn't tell them you have herpes. That's not the
Okay.
time. Because you should, I mean, if you want to tell them that you have herpes, that's totally cool. I totally support that. If you want to tell them any of that, but I don't know what the important questions are. Like, what if your important questions or comments are, I have bad credit? Like, no, that's not first date information.
Right.
First date, you are interviewing them.
Mm-hmm.
You need to get
Right.
some reference checks. Like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
need to, like,
Yeah.
just like a job.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And for compatibility reasons too, like you want to know if they're what their interests are and things like that. Yeah, of course.
I would say, you know, when you do a job interview, sometimes you be asking questions like, what happened to the person that had this job
Mm,
before me? Did they
exactly.
choose to leave? Were they
Right.
fired? And if so, what reasons were they fired for? What reasons do you think they chose to leave? I think those are the questions. Now, if you want to start talking about testing, are you planning to sleep with them that night? Again,
Mm,
anybody could tell you anything about testing. When's the last time you got an STD? I don't, and honestly, to be quite frank, if you had chlamydia when you were 16 and now you're 36, I don't think you need to tell them that you had chlamydia at 16. Like that doesn't,
mm,
now if you got herpes at 16, prior to being sexually active with them, you should let them know that. But that's
mm.
depending on where you're at. If you plan to have sex on the first date, you
Right.
should disclose, right?
Well, good, because that goes into my next question.
Mm-hmm.
Should what do you think about having sex on the first date?
I
What
mean,
are
use
your
a
thoughts?
condom. Don't get drunk. That's it.
Yeah.
We have to remember that whatever two consenting adults want to do is totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
We also need to remember that if you are too drunk to drive, you are too drunk to consent by the law, by the
Very
letter of
true.
the law. And
Very.
I'm an adult, you're an adult. We've all been there when we was a little messed
Mm,
up and maybe, somebody done bought you a drink in the club, like T-Pain said, and then you done stumbled your ass home with them. Listen,
right.
forgive yourself for that, but just be more conscious now to understand that like consent is mandatory, it's active,
Yes.
it's not high on ecstasy or alcohol or or weed or whatever. Listen, you get. I don't know what your drunkenness is, so I don't want to sit here and act like people are going to be stone cold sober having
Right.
sex. Like, I really am trying to be realistic here. It's just, food for thought. Food for thought.
Yes. You also want to remember the experience, right? So
Yeah,
you didn't was
sometimes.
drunk.
Sometimes you
Exactly.
do.
Right.
Sometimes you don't.
Right. So, okay. So when you're dating someone and it seems that the conversation around sex is not always one that you're having. You're just kind of just having the sex, but you're not talking about it.
Right.
Something I also heard you talk about was telling your partner what you like in the bedroom and things
Oh, like
like
the
that.
sex date.
Yeah, so how do you get your partner to open up and feel comfortable to talk about
Oh.
intimacy without them feeling pressured or anything like that?
So here's the tea on that. That can be tricky and complicated, right? I'm going to, because okay, that can be tricky and complicated because oftentimes people have some type of trauma around sexuality. Now that doesn't necessarily have to be physical trauma. It could be maybe they feel like they have a really small penis, or maybe they didn't lose their virginity until they were 23, and or maybe they were a bit more voluptuous at a young age, so people made comments about their breasts, you know, so there may be trauma there. So you really kind of have to respect your partner and what they're willing to disclose. Like a lot of, and just based on the lack of sex education in America, as well as the lack of mental health, especially as a Black woman, like as a Black queer woman, I have seen a lot of my queer and gay friends who struggle with their sexuality because it was not something that culturally was accepted in their home, that was accepted by their parents. And I think that, you know, I tread lightly, but I do like a sex date. Okay, so that's one thing you do. There's this incredible thing called the I will, I want, I won't list, and I'll email it to you so you can share it with your followers. And
Okay. Thank you.
it was created by someone in grad school, and it's 16 pages. Like, it's like, wow, homework. We haven't had that much homework in forever. But it goes through all the different activities that you could do sexually. And what I tell people is, you take a copy, your partner takes a copy, you fill it out alone, you come back together, you have a date in a house. And
I
even
love
if
that.
you're with somebody, even if you've been with somebody for 5 years, 10 years, your sexual appetite changes
Yes.
as you get older,
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
right? And you have to, and that's totally normal. It's totally okay. So you fill out this sheet alone, then you get together, maybe have a glass of wine or a bottle, I don't know. And then you just talk about your answers. You trade papers and you talk about
Right.
the answers. I'm not telling you to try any of this because it's probably going to be a lot easier to talk about this drunk than it will be sober. So how
Right.
about we talk about it drunk, but not actually have it? Then we walk away from that conversation, and then our minds are left to linger. And then
Yeah.
that can make whatever experience we've agreed to try much hotter.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to
I love
say
that.
non-judgment. If you love your partner, I don't give a shit if they want a thumb in their ass. It doesn't make them gay. They're
Okay.
with you. Or maybe, I mean, unless you are gay and then it's this, you're both the same. You get my point, right? And even if they wanted to explore something, that doesn't mean no judgment. You love somebody, you come in with no judgment. You're just there to listen and learn. But you
Right.
can also take that as an opportunity to create boundaries, especially with that list. Because it's like, I will, I won't. It's like, yes, no, maybe.
Mm.
Right?
That. I
And
like
then if it's a maybe, it's like, well, what are the boundaries and what does maybe look like? How do we get to maybe? Like, maybe that's something I want more than they want. So if it's a maybe, that means the door's still open. There's a possibility, but what would have to go into that? So it just, communication is key in this space.
Yeah, absolutely. Please share that. Yes. Share that list with us.
I
Yes.
definitely will. I definitely will.
Yes. I mean, I feel like these are important conversations to have. Single or if you've been in a relationship for a long time, because
Yep.
like you said, you always have to continuously work on your sexual drive and everything like that. So please send it to us. I will be sharing it with you guys.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big proponent in like check-ins. Like when you're in a long-term relationship, you have to check in because you
Yeah.
don't want the other person to feel like, oh, my partner doesn't love me. Especially like if you're dating somebody whose love language is acts of service and maybe your love language is like touch. Have you ever heard of love languages?
Yes.
For
Yes.
those of
There's
you who
7,
might
I
be
believe.
watching that haven't, the guy's name is Gary Chapman. He was a therapist. He came up with these 5 love languages. Just Google Dr. Gary Chapman love languages. You'll find the quiz. Do it with your partner. So if you
Yeah.
have a partner who is a acts of service and you are a touch person, you might think that they don't love you because they're not touching you as much or they're not giving you much as affection, but in their mind they're showing you love by changing the tire on your car or washing the dishes. So you really just have to understand what the love language is by your partner.
Yes, I agree with that. And because I had a conversation with someone about a month ago, and they were telling me about their previous dating history and things like that. And then one thing he said was, "Oh, well, this one person, we cared about each other. We tried to make it work, but she didn't fulfill me and didn't satisfy me sexually." But then now that you're talking about this, I'm thinking to myself, maybe he also didn't have this conversation with her.
Probably not. That's the other thing.
Exactly.
I'm trying to tell you something right now. If anybody else comes to me and is like, oh, I broke up with them because they was bad at sex, and then I ask them, well, did you tell them? And they're like,
Right.
no, girl, no, I didn't. And I'm like, well, why did you throw them back out to sea so another person could catch them and it'd be bad?
Right.
But we also have to remember that bad for one person might be somebody else's excellent.
Exactly. Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about women feeling empowered, embracing nudity, and not feeling ashamed about their body, and having like sexual freedom. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, how do I say this politely? Everybody got to go at their own pace. And it doesn't help. I think we're entering into a time where we're celebrating different body types, and we're celebrating like the different looks of what bodies may be, and openness and nudity is fine, or exposing yourself a little more. You got to do what's right for you. Again, I've said it once, I'll say it a lot of times. I am a lot closer to 40 than I am to 30. And I now am in a space where I'm trying to recalibrate what I think is sexy about my body. But that takes work. And a lot of people would look at me and say, oh my gosh, you're so thin, you look great. That's fine and dandy, but if I'm not okay with it, because of whatever reason, it's something I have to work on. So I actively dance naked in the mirror. I actively take sexy selfies of myself, or nude photos of myself. And then I look at them and I'm like, wow, I have a little bit more curves than I've had in the past. And
Yes.
you know what that means? That's a little more cushion for that pushing. And
Exactly.
but I want to be very, very clear with you. I have actively had to have those conversations with myself. And that is work. It takes work because society programs us to hate our bodies if we don't fit.
Right.
And it used to be like rail thin. Now it's like if you don't look like Kim Kardashian and you have a Coke bottle figure. I don't have a Coke bottle figure. I've been more of a stick figure. But now as I've gotten a little older, I have a little bit more curve. But that's, I think it's like be healthy. Masturbation is great. Creating time. We talked about dating yourself. I like to encourage people who might be having some body discomfort. If it goes beyond something you don't think you can get through with yourself, or you're having an eating disorder, please contact a therapist.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
If it's I've gained 5 pounds, I've been in COVID, I've gained the COVID-19. Great. You know that. What do you need to do to get back in shape? Like exercising in itself, not to lose weight, but just to feel healthy, I encourage.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Absolutely. 100%. But
that will also raise your libido. Exercising can raise your libido.
Oh, good to know. Okay. That's awesome. I like that you said also that you take pictures of yourself, and you look at yourself naked. I think that's so awesome. I think that has helped me. I actually like my body naked rather than clothed. It's crazy.
Well, get naked, girl.
Yes, I like how my body looks naked rather than clothed. So I think that's super important, and that way you start feeling comfortable with yourself. Like I remember seeing an episode, I think it was on Sex and the City, where they were talking about, yes, have you ever looked at your vagina? Like,
oh, yes.
Yes. And I forget what's her name, the one with the dark hair.
Charlotte, she hadn't, because that was the same episode.
Charlotte was like, no, I've never looked at it.
Yeah, because that was the same episode that Samantha did a nude photo shoot. Right? So they had this. Yeah. So I think, but your labia changes as you get older. And I saw I think that's what their person's handle was. They were asking about like naked pictures on social media. No, I'm not saying take photos of yourself and post them.
Right.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying take photos of yourself for yourself.
Yes.
Like those, but always remember, even if you're taking photos of yourself, I always encourage you not to put your face in them. Because if you crack your screen or somebody's able to get into your phone. I don't know identifiable body parts.
Mhm.
But yeah, take pictures of your vulva. Look at your
Yeah.
labia, because that will change just like your body will change as you
Yes.
age, or if you have children. Doesn't mean it doesn't feel good. It just, you might get an extra fold. You might have one
Mhm.
more wrinkle in your labia, and that's totally normal and it should be celebrated. You earned that wrinkle, honey. Enjoy it.
Exactly.
You earned that gray pubic hair.
Exactly, exactly. All right, so let's move on to a little bit of you kind of mentioned it a little while ago, but I also heard a conversation the other day about men losing their libido as they get older, and how they're like screwed because it's like if they, climax too quickly and the woman hasn't climaxed yet, they're screwed. And if they don't climax because they need like an extra motivator like Viagra or something like that, they're screwed too. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Ooh.
And yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so it's kind of tricky. There's a couple things here. So oftentimes when men will ask me about erection or some type of ED or problems ejaculating, my first question is, um, how much porn are you watching? Because pornography can impact your ability to when you're actually with a person, right? So I ask
Mm-hmm.
that. Secondarily, if they're ejaculating too soon, I guide them to the idea of edging. And edging is a masturbation technique in which a man will masturbate up until the point they feel as if they're going to climax, and then they will stop. And then beyond that, if the person is a young man and there's no use of pornography, I would tell them, if it's something that continues to persist, you need to go and see a doctor, because having prostate problems can impact erection
Mm.
and ejaculation. So if it's something that's persisting beyond a while, or there's no external factors like pornography, or you're just not into your partner, or you're having high stress, and you're having some erection problems, I would tell them to go see a doctor,
Mm-hmm.
because you need to probably get medically checked out for the prostate or for some blood pressure issues, things of that nature. Now,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So yeah, so I was gonna say, so what if everything's fine, health wise, and but your partner is not matching your stamina?
Foreplay. Foreplay. See, a lot of people forget that, the penis can get erect very quickly,
Mm-hmm.
very, very quickly. And with, and I see DTO8 said fasting helps. Remember, you are what you eat. I'm not going to tell you to
Yeah.
fast to get a harder dick, but I'm going to say you are what you eat. So if you're not eating healthy, that'll also impact the taste of your ejaculation. But aside from that, I was talking about, what was I just lost my train of thought when he said that.
Foreplay.
Yes, thank you. The vagina, and to get fully wet and fully aroused, um, can take anywhere from like 10 to 20 minutes. That's just how the mechanics work, right? So if you do a lot of foreplay, eat the pussy, eat it up, eat it up, eat it up, lick it up, and then make sweet, sweet love to it. Um, but foreplay is something that's important. And then also we have to remember that men and women kind of think differently. So men have the ability, the way their brains work, they're very like, they can focus on one thing. Women, we use more of our brain, so we're distracted easily. So sometimes women might want to have sex, but they just can't get into it because they're thinking about,
Mm-hmm.
did I leave the stove on? Um,
Right.
did I take the trash out? Did I pay that light bill? So really you have to be more understanding around that and help create a relaxing space for your
Mm-hmm.
partner, whether you're heteronormative or in a same-sex partnership. Like, women think very differently. So light a candle, play some
Mm-hmm.
music, give a massage, those
Yes.
kinds of things help women get relaxed, because the brain is the most important part of sex.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. And that was the segue into foreplay because I wanted to talk about that too. Um So let's see. You mentioned candles. I wanted to talk about that. Let's talk a little bit about some foods, aphrodisiac foods that can help with, if that's true or not, that
Yeah,
can help with that.
I mean, the science behind aphrodisiacs is not as not I wouldn't grip on to that as much as some. Like some people say oysters, but really when we think about aphrodisiacs, it's not like there's a chemical in the food. What it is rooted in is more or less your senses. So
Mm,
that's your sight, your smell, your taste. Um, so think about what are the tastes, what are the sounds, what are the smells, what are the sights that turn you on, that might turn your partner on, but that you have to get to through conversation. And
mm.
a lot of people don't even know what that means for themselves. So that goes back to the self exploration.
Right, right. Absolutely. All right. So I want to end our conversation and talk a little bit about we have a mutual friend, Miss Selena Hill. She interviewed you, and there was
Hmm.
a topic that you guys talked about that I wanted to bring up today, which is the OnlyFans page on IG.
Okay.
Yes, let's talk a little bit about that. And for those of us who don't know what it is, tell us what it is.
So OnlyFans started, I mean, it started in like, it's always starting in porn, honey. It started with like sex workers, porn performers to be able to make extra money. Very, very popular in the gay male space.
Mm,
And then went to, but it is a page where people can engage with fans in a sexually explicit way that has got a paywall up. So you have to pay to get access to this content. I think it's great if that's something you want to do. I think that it's a lot of work. I watched a documentary about somebody who had like an OnlyFans page, and child, that person's on the computer, on the text messages. It's like having an intimate relationship with a lot of people at the same time. And it's work, but
mm,
it is a form of sex work, and sex work is work. So go
mm,
on and do that. Go on and
right.
get your money, have
Mm,
fun, but remember, you set up an OnlyFans page and your headshot is on there.
right.
You've made a commitment to that.
Right.
But I think now it's much different because now you have personal trainers doing OnlyFans, you have
Mm,
dietitians doing OnlyFans. So it's become more commercialized, but it did start as like a sex worker thing. Because
okay.
the porn industry and sex workers, they always bring us that new. Thank God for them.
Right. And it probably became kind of like the new virtual strip club in a sense too, right? During
Yep,
quarantine.
yep,
Mm-hmm.
yep.
Yeah.
But I think in those things, like the more you do, the more you have to do to get
Mhm.
the next dollar, to get the
Right.
next. Give me
Right.
a good old pole, honey, and a stage. I mean, that was way a long time ago when I did that.
Yeah.
My arthritis would not let me whip around a pole like I used to. No, I would break a bone,
Mm-mm. I
pull a
love it.
muscle.
Wait, I'm curious though because I've always wanted to take a pole dancing class and I've never gotten the opportunity to. I'm
Uh-huh.
in my 30s as well, mid 30s. Do you think that we'll be able to learn a few skills or are we like done?
No. First of all, no. Yes, you can learn skills,
Okay.
and it's an incredible workout. Like it is
Awesome.
an incredible. I used to teach pole classes after I danced, after I gave up dancing, and it's an incredible pole workout. My body looked great. Um, it's a hard workout, but and yes, please do it. Again, we talked earlier about how do you reclaim your sexy at different ages.
Right.
Take a pole class.
Mm-hmm.
No
Yeah.
judgment in those.
Absolutely. I love it. Well, thank you so much for
No
having this
problem.
candid conversation today. I really appreciate it, and everyone's been enjoying it.
Good.
Um, Before we close out, tell us maybe like 3 to 5 things that we can jot down to keep our libido up and to keep our sexual lives healthy.
So communication is key. The brain is the most important part of sex. So keep that healthy. Keep that in tune with yourself. The first relationship starts with you. So if that's off, everything is off. You are what you eat. So
Yes.
if you want your spunk not to be funk, eat healthy, drink water, fruits and vegetables. Cookie wash is not going to clean your pussy any better than water because the vagina is self-cleaning. And then try to look at sex and walk into sex open-minded. While you should set your own boundaries, be open to other people's desires and
Yes.
understand that sex is about reciprocity, right? It's a give and take. And then communicate. I think it's that easy.
Yes. Don't be afraid to ask for what you like and want. Yes,
Yes,
I agree.
be vocal, communicate, tell them.
Yes, I agree. Actually, one more thing.
Okay.
For women and their vagina, right? What can they eat as far as like fruit wise or something like that that can help them with like if they're going through like any funks or anything like that?
Well, here's my thing about vaginas. They're not supposed to taste like fucking peaches or
Right.
smell like roses or
Right.
freesia
A
or
watermelon.
water. No, it's a pussy. You should, like, this is what I tell people. After you shower, get out the shower, you're clean, give it a couple minutes, don't put deodorant on, right? And then smell your underarm. Whatever that smells like, clean, no body spray, that is what your vagina should smell like. If you are noticing a different scent and it becomes extra, go to the doctor. Because here's the deal. During different times of the menstrual cycle isn't the 7 days. That's your actual period. I'm talking about the full 28 to 31 days. You are going to have different discharges. There are going to be different smells. Again, you are what you eat. If you eat a high protein diet and you're not drinking enough water or not eating enough vegetables, it's going to have a different smell. If you have bacterial vaginosis, you might smell like fish, right? Like a vagina is not supposed to smell sweet. You're not going to eat. If you eat a fucking billion pineapples, your shit is still not going to smell like a Dole farm.
Right.
Because it's a pussy.
Right.
So let's not believe that. Don't douche. Because that'll just exacerbate funk.
Thank you for that.
Like, do not do that. It's supposed to smell like a vagina. That's what it's supposed to. It's a vagina. You think men are out here running around like, oh, I want my fucking undernut, my scrotum to smell like sandalwood. No,
Right.
they don't give a fuck.
Right, exactly.
So
we're doing too much. Just
way
drink
too
water.
much.
Yeah, just drink water and
Eat healthy, eat a
keep track of
balanced
what you
diet.
eat.
Yeah.
Yes.
And to all the dudes out there, like, I want it to smell like a lollipop. I want it to smell like strawberries. Motherfucker, take your ass to 31 flavors. Cause I ain't on the menu.
Exactly.
It's a vagina.
Exactly. Well, thank you for letting everyone know that because that is the truth.
You know, we got to tell them.
So on my Fearless Friday series, I always ask my guests to close out and let everyone know what makes you fearless.
Woo! What makes me fearless? Wow, that should have come at the beginning, so I could have thought about it.
No, I want it to be organic.
Good God. The thought of not experiencing life, I guess. I mean, go big or go home. Shit or get off the pot.
Yeah.
YOLO. You only live. That's such cliche, but I don't know. I mean, I can't say I'm always fearless, but at this point in my life, like, child, I'm still alive. So there we go.
Exactly.
I'm going to live life out loud.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Michelle. I really appreciate you. Thank you for taking out the time. I know we interrupted your beautiful day in the park.
No, it was fine. It was fine. Have all your people follow me.
Yes.
Follow me on @MHSexpert. Like, go to my YouTube page, subscribe. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Please do. Michelle's been doing amazing things. She's been on The Breakfast Club. I watched her interviews. She's been all over the place. Really great content. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for being transparent. I appreciate it. Also, happy Pride.
Oh, yes, honey.
Celebrating. But
I'm celebrating, child, right here in the park.
That's right. Are you in New York City?
Yep. Oh. And if anybody else is in New York City, in front of the Brooklyn Museum this Sunday, there is a Black Trans Lives Matter
Okay.
event, and I'm going to be posting that in my live story. So if you just go to
Okay.
my story, you'll see it, but it's an all white event. I'm going to be
Okay.
out there. So we gonna make it happen.
I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
hit you up.
And
Yes, I love
and,
it.
and one other thing, because are you in New York?
I am.
Where are you
Yes.
at?
I'm in the Bronx right now.
Girl, then I have to give
Yes.
a shameless plug to my homegirl, Siobhan Newsom, who
Okay.
is running for Congressional District 15, which is the
Okay.
Bronx. She's born and raised. She's also the co-founder of Black Lives Matter, Greater New York. So go check her out. Again, Congressional District, New York 15.
Yes.
Siobhan Newsom. It's New York Vonnie. Go, go,
Yes.
go. Because we
I
out
love
here
it.
trying to change the world, okay? I love it.
That's
50
right.
and sexy. I see you, Robin, girl. I see you in the
Yes.
comments. So I'll see
I
you
love
soon.
it. Thank you again so much. Have a good night. I
Bye.
appreciate you.
Yep.
Bye. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to take a little quick break and I'm going to be back with Dose of Diosad. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me on this Friday.